Welcome everybody to Treats and Eats with Krista and Jody. This is our March episode and we're doing something a little different today. We are still going to kind of cook for you, but we wanted to do kind of an overview, like a freeze-dried foods crash course, because we have learned that a lot of people are not opening their cans. I don't know. You watch our cooking demos and you don't open your cans. I don't know why. But so for a way of introduction, I'm Jody and my partner is Krista. Wait for us, Krista. So we have been in the food storage preparedness industry for 13 years. I blog about it. Krista teaches a lot of classes, and we started just educating people about how to build up a food storage and be prepared for emergencies. And through that, we have become dealers for Thrive Life. It is our favorite freeze-dried food company. And basically, you can have your wheat and beans and sugar and yeast and flour and oil. But at the end of the day, in an emergency, sometimes it's easier to just open a can of something and snack on it, or you add just add water meal, or you can have the nutrition of fruits and veggies and easy meats and cheeses in your food storage. So there is definitely a place for both. And so we do these cooking demos because freeze-dried food seems kind of scary and like alien food, or not alien, astronaut food, maybe aliens, astronaut food to people. And so, but once I started cooking with it, because I'm a fan of like using what I store and storing what I use and eat in my everyday cooking. So I really wanted to learn how to cook with freeze-dried food. And so I started cooking with it and I just fell in love with the concept. And so even if preparedness isn't your thing, there is a place for you with Thrive Life to learn how to use these foods. And so that is what we're going to talk about today. And so I kind of have a fun thing that I invented. Well, I didn't invent it, but I collected it, but we call it the Thrive Savers. So there are 5 ways that Thrive can save you. So they can save you time. Well, Thrive can, not they, it can save you time, save you money. It can save your waistline, so help you eat healthy, or if you're on a specific diet plan or allergies. So kind of, it just is very good nutritionally, and we'll explain more about that a little bit later. It can save your sanity or your supper time, which sometimes that's both. So I have 7 kids and dinner time can be crazy, and it's like, what do you cook? And everyone's complaining and you don't know, I don't have any ideas and you don't have enough time. And so a lot of times just having something with Thrive can really save your dinner if you're busy like me. And then the last is Save for Emergencies. So the 5 savers, obviously we started with Save for Emergencies, but as we started to use this food, we have come to love all the other reasons. So as we're going through tonight, just think about that. So as we're sharing, we're going to kind of come back to those things and let you know, like, okay, this is a way I save time with it. This is a way I save money with it. And hopefully you'll learn something. Feel free to ask questions in the chat, but we may or may not. Sometimes I'm getting old, so I can't see from far away once I'm demoing. So we will try to catch them and get back to you even if we have to wait till the end. And if you are going along and have ideas and want to jump in on ways that you use it too, we would love to see that in the chat as well. We did this presentation last weekend for a group of about 45 people in Mesa, well, in Scottsdale, Arizona. And it was awesome. And people had tons of great ideas. And it was just very fun to hear how everyone else is using their Thrive too. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So Krista is up first, and she's going to talk about all the ways you can snack with Thrive. But as you can see, she is in a hotel. So if there's something that she needs to demo that she doesn't have with her on vacation, then I will do the demo part here, but she will be speaking, if that makes sense. Okay. Got it?
Got it. All right. So yes, I am out of town. So it's hard for me to do a cooking class, right, from a another location. I'm not in my kitchen. I don't have my lights on and all the things, right? So, but that doesn't stop me from using and eating and doing and thriving. Really, I mean, that's what we're here for, right? So I'm going to tell you about, which this is perfect for me because I am traveling. So I'm going to tell you about all the ways to snack with Thrive Life foods, right? With freeze-dried foods. So first way is we have these very convenient snackies, right? They're little pouches of whatever snack. We have peas and corn. So we've got some vegetables in the line, but we've got apples and peaches. I've got peaches over in that bag over there. Yeah, so I mean, these are great to just throw in my purse and always have on hand if and when I need that quick snack, right? Another way to snack is to this is another one. Okay, so I made a trail mix at like 5 o'clock this morning before I left for the airport. And basically you can see I've got strawberries, freeze-dried strawberries. I've got mangoes. I couldn't find my freeze-dried grapes, but that's the beauty of this is that you use what you've got, right? So the original, this is the Caribbean Crunch snack mix. We've actually demoed this and made this, which is why I didn't actually I didn't actually want to make it for you today. That's why I made it before I got here, right? So I've been so there's mangoes in here, there's pineapple in here, there are strawberries. I'm missing my grapes. In fact, she's throwing up a recipe right there. So thank you, Vanna or Jody. And then I've got some cashews and I had some macadamia nuts that I just brought home. And I threw in some coconut bites as well. So this is a nice trail mix that I can also keep in my purse at all times and snack on at all and whenever I need to, right? So I've got a little bit of a healthy snack and I've got a little protein in there and everything's ready to go. I love the Caribbean Crunch mix. There's another one called Mountain Man Trail Mix. It's up on the screen right now. And this is a great one too. I used to give this one to my husband and he would keep it in his truck because it's hot outside, right? And you don't, if you have sausage, regular sausage, that's not going to last very long, right? So, but this Mountain Man mix, it has our sausage crumbles, it's got cheddar cheese, some corn, some peas, and a little bit of seasoning. So it's shelf stable. It can sit in the car all day long for a few days, probably. And, but it never lasts that long in his truck, right? But it's high in protein and you've got a more manly mix, right? For all those manly men, right? A little higher in protein, that kind of thing. So those are a couple trail mixes. They're amazing to snack on. Just
So take a picture of this before, because I'm going to flip in and out of recipes that we talk about. So take a picture while it's up and I'm going to stop sharing so that Krista's big.
So yeah, couple more seconds to take a picture. We're good. All right. Next way to snack. Freeze-dried vegetables make a great snack as well. One of the things I really like to do is to take our freeze-dried corn and I'll take that instead of buying corn at the movies. And I will go and my local theater has like the popcorn salt, so where you can sprinkle it on. But I will take my freeze-dried corn, sprinkle on that seasoning salt, and use that as popcorn instead of regular popcorn, right? So that's a great way to snack on things too. Also, I think Jody has a sample of this. Our red peppers. She loves our red peppers. And sometimes they come in big sticks, right? She's got them right there. So when that happens, you can dip those in hummus. You can dip those in ranch dip. You can dip those in whatever snack you're looking for, right? And you don't have to peel. You don't have to chop. You don't have to wash. You don't have to go to the store and buy because you're in the mood for it, right? Because it's on your pantry.
Better than like chips in it because you get that red pepper flavor. And this is just a ranch dip. So I'll throw this in like when we're doing a party or whatever, Super Bowl party. I'm just have their crisp. It's healthier than chips. I mean, the dip is obviously still fattening, but then you're not getting the calories of the chips too. And I just eat this, like Krista said, hummus, hell of a good dip, ranch dip, anything.
Yep. All of those things. So, yeah. Are there any other, if you have a specific way of snacking on freeze-dried foods, then go ahead and type it in the chat. Because that's, I mean, it depends on what diet you're on. Everybody's doing all different kinds of diets, right? If you need keto, we've got the sausage. We've got, I've got someone who snacks on the ground beef. Not my favorite because it doesn't have the salt and everything in it. And I need flavor. But I mean,
add flavor to
people who do that. Do what?
So I said you can add flavor to the beef if you want.
Right.
But we're also doing yogurt. We did this at the Scottsdale event too. So you can take plain yogurt. I just had some peachy yogurt. And it says like fruit on the bottom, but there's like no fruit in my peach yogurt. So you can totally make like a parfait. So I just take the peaches. I'm breaking them a little smaller because our peaches are huge and delicious, obviously. So I just add a few more peaches in there. You can throw some granola if you have it, or I just have some walnuts. And all of a sudden you have like a whole complete breakfast or snack My kids are yogurt fiends, but so I can do that. And all of a sudden you can have all different kinds of yogurt with just using what you have in your pantry.
Right? Yeah, and actually while you were doing that, I looked at the questions. So it lasts a few days in a Ziploc bag. Not my personal favorite because sometimes after a couple days it tastes like the Ziploc. Do you guys ever run into that issue? Your food turns into or tastes like the plastic that it's in. So and it never lasts though. I mean, literally this bag was full, but I've been traveling since 5 a.m. So it's been a long day, but this is what Krista ate today.
And think
So
about how much it costs on the airport. Like I bought one little bag of chocolate covered raisins. I think it was $12. So save
right.
money.
And I
Okay,
literally put this together out of what I had in my pantry. Right. And
Mira's asking about an energy ball. I did a recipe using like powdered bananas, powdered strawberries, and the peanut flour that we used to have and made different energy bite balls. They were really good.
yeah, we'll talk about that. I will come back to that in the when we talk about powdering as well, Mira. Sound good?
Sorry, I jumped the gun.
No, you're good. I was gonna say the same thing actually. We kind of think alike, which is why we work well together. Okay, let's see. How do we get full screen when showing the task?
It
I'm
just
not sure.
depends on your settings. If you go speaker
Yeah.
view, it should show who's speaking. It's a little bit hard with the recipes. You might have to.
Yeah, and then
Maybe I'll.
you can put it in the Mylar zipper snack bags if you want. So it can go in whatever container you want it in. I usually keep it in the little twist off Ziploc containers, not the bags. But again, I'm traveling, so I needed something easy, right?
And
Yeah.
you're gonna eat it all right away.
Yep, I sure am. So, okay, I'm going to turn it back over to Jody to show you a couple different ways to use freeze-dried stuff.
Okay. So we're talking about the different methods of using it. So snacking is one. The next one is adding water. And there are surprisingly a million different ways to add water to create your food. Sorry, this is like cutting my head off. So the first one I'm going to talk about is tumbling. So if there was one food that you would really want to have in an emergency, like that you wouldn't want to give up, does anybody have something, you know, like what's the one food you can't live without? You can leave your comments if you want. But mine basically was pizza and or cheese. I tend to be a little bit obsessed with cheese. So, uh-oh. My cheese not opened. Live TV, folks. Okay, do you guys have a can opener like this with the crank? It's the world's best can opener. So, and you don't break your wrist while you're trying to open all your number 10 cans. So, I decided I was going to learn how to make pizza from scratch using my wheat and make red sauce from scratch and put cheese on top. So I was like, great, freeze-dried cheese. So I took my cheese like this and sprinkled it on top of the pizza. Does anybody know what happened? It did not melt. It burnt crisp, crunchy, crispy cheese on top of my pizza. So then I was like, oh, I guess I'll rehydrate it like I refresh most of my foods, which is just pouring it in a little, you know, container and covering it with water. And then you strain it. And then guess what that does with cheese? It makes a disgusting gloppy mess. So then you try to sprinkle it on your cheese and it looks like little lumps of like, I don't even know. I was going to say dog vomit or something, but that's disgusting for a cooking show. So I won't say that, even though I just did. But they're like lumps of goo and it did not spread out nicely. So when I discovered the tumble method for cheese, my life was a little bit changed. See, cat, cheese too, you see. So what you do for tumbling is you just barely add a little bit of water. Like I did not cover this at all. I poured a tiny bit in, then you put your lid on and you do a shake, shake, shake. Okay. So you shake it until all that water is absorbed. And so you're going to do, so that was, I didn't put enough water, but you don't want to do too much or then it gets gooey and not good. And then it's clumpy and you can't spread it on your food. Actually, there's still a little bit of water in there. So just keep tumbling, keep tumbling. Let it absorb. Sometimes it can take a couple minutes. And there you go. So my cheese, it sprinkles just like regular cheese. Can you guys see that? Sprinkle, sprinkle, sprinkle. So I can put that on pizza. It will melt. And all of a sudden you have real cheese. And it actually is better if you put it in the fridge for a little bit after you tumble. So that is one method. I like eating the cheese plain. It's so bad, but it's also so good. Okay. Don't tell anyone. So next way you can use for tumbling, it is nice for meats, especially if you're trying to make something that you don't want to get too soggy. So, oh, I need my recipe. So I'm gonna make this chicken fajitas, and it's gonna be kind of the same thing, although I didn't turn on my hot water. Sorry, that's gonna be a little bit loud. So what you're gonna do is take a 1/3 cup chicken. So we did this with chicken salad at the event, and it works either way. With the fajitas, I wanted warm water, so sorry, I'm heating up some water. And you can use chunky chicken. The one that's on sale this month, I think, is like grilled chicken slices. And then you use your peppers. Can you hear me with the water running? Yes, okay, sorry. Sometimes Zoom will turn off the volume if it's noisy, which I discovered. So then you're gonna just put in a couple of tablespoons of your red peppers. I like peppers, so I'm adding a little bit extra. Then you're gonna want to put in green chili peppers. These are a little bit spicier, so you don't put as many of these in, just 2 teaspoons. And once I'm done, I'll throw this recipe up and you can take a copy of it. I'm in the middle of cooking. Now for onions, the ones that are on sale this month are chopped onions. So if you don't love a big chunky onion, you can use those. If you want like a fajita style onions, look at these huge onion slices. You can totally grill those up, delicious. So I'm going to use the big ones. So this can be in a tortilla. Okay, now my water's hot. Ooh, ooh, ooh. Live TV, you get what you get. Get what you get and you don't throw a fit. So again, we don't want our fajita mix to be soggy because that's not going to be any good. So I'm going to just put a little bit of water and then you're going to tumble. So again, shake it up, shake it up. Okay, do you say you get what you get and you don't throw a fit, or you get what you get and you don't get upset? My family had a big fight about this. It depends how you say the word get. Okay, so you can see my fajita mix is already hydrating. It's soaking up all that moisture. Throw a fit. See, Marilyn, that's what I say. I don't know. My husband says you don't get upset. So I don't know if we can be friends anymore, me and him.
Depends
So
on the side of the country you grew up on.
Right? I know. How you say get. Kind of weird. I didn't think I said get, but you say it like that to make it rhyme. So this recipe, then you also add a little bit chef's choice. You add some cumin. You add a teeny bit of the velouté, which is the gravy. So it'll make a yummy, just a little bit liquidy fajita mix, but you could just use this and throw it on anything, some chips with it. I'm not going to do the whole shebang because we don't want to keep you guys too long tonight. So let me see if I can put this recipe back up here. I'm so fancy. I'm back and forth. Okay, I try to do them all in order. So here is, can you see the fajitas recipe? So they kind of have you to toast it in the fry pan first in butter. You can do that, but I prefer to do it this way just because it's easier and then it doesn't get too soggy. So that's my opinion, and that's the beauty of Thrive. And so you could even do this as a jar meal. You can have it ready to go, all the mixes, just add water and then add the seasonings and sauce after. So if you want to take a picture of that, and then I think it's Krista's turn next, right?
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
Everyone got their picture? Okay. We're
Okay,
good.
my turn. All right. Cool. All right. So I'm going to talk about marinate. Okay. We talked about the tumbling method, right? So Jody talked about doing chicken fajitas just in a little container, tumbling it with some water. You're good to go, right? But what happens if you really want to marinate something, right? Because we all need real food, right? And that's what Thrive turns into, is real food. It is real food, but you know what I mean. There's some really good ways to actually use some Thrive products to marinate your meats and stuff, right? The first method is our chicken bouillon. Now, our bouillons, we have a beef bouillon and a chicken bouillon, and they are vegetarian and they are amazing. Like, you will never be caught without chicken broth in your house ever again, ever again. So it's 1 little teaspoon per cup of water for every cup of water you need, or chicken broth that you need, right? Or beef broth, whatever you're making, right? But I like to use those not just as a marinade, because you can make your own chicken broth using the chicken bouillon, then soak your meat in it, right? So that's a way to marinate. But I use that chicken bouillons for other flavorings as well. So I'll put it in my rice, I'll put it on my mashed potatoes, I'll put it in whatever it is, right? And so you can use those marinades as flavors as well. And here's the kicker: if you have MSG issues, like I have a sister who is allergic to MSG. I can't feed her any dip on the planet because it's got lots of MSG in it. I make all of my own dips. I make an onion dip, I make a veggie dip, I make all of my dips using our bouillons, and I don't have to worry about my sister being sick. Okay. So that's always a good thing. And I'm always being cognizant of that because I cook a lot in my family, right? So those are great for marinades, but what about other marinades, right? So what if you took, like, we did a cooking demo a few months ago, copycat recipe for Cafe Rio recipes, right? Anybody love Cafe Rio? Like, I eat there once a week at least, right?
I
They're
ate there twice when I was visiting Krista.
yes, we did, because I knew she doesn't have one close.
Oh,
And they know me on a first name basis there. So yeah, we did that, and they have this fabulous pork, right? Costa Vida has one too, and does Chipotle, they might have one too, but they have the best one. It's
not
this,
the sweet pork like that.
okay, but it's this sweet pork that is so fabulous. And so we did a copycat recipe, and we marinated our pulled pork in, it was Coca-Cola or Dr. Pepper. Which one was it?
You can do either.
You
A
can do
sweet
it, right?
Coke.
But it was
I
a
like Coke.
sweet soda, and that's what we used as a marinade to rehydrate that freeze-dried food. So when that happens, that flavor goes into that piece of meat and you get amazing meat, right? You can also use orange juice on the chicken to marinate the chicken, and it infuses that flavor into that piece of freeze-dried meat, which is amazing. So that's a really good way to do that. And then you can use your meat however you want, right? Let it sit there for a little while, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, overnight. I don't care. But yeah, it will be amazing for you to use once it's in the fry pan, all of those things, right?
I
Okay.
put the
So,
Cafe Rio link in the comments for people.
oh, awesome. That's perfect. Yeah, but I
You
mean,
missed-
get creative.
That was a good one.
You could do soy sauce on your chicken for teriyaki, or you can do a like hot sauce on your chicken and have those fajitas be a little more spicy. Now we're thinking, right? Okay. Our next topic is spritzing. Has anybody ever tried spritzing their really fragile fruits and vegetables? Anybody? Any hands? Nope. Okay, so this is a new way. Jody's got it, so she's going to show you. But basically what this means is that I always put like a few in a bowl, like however much I'm going to use. Maybe it's a 1/4 cup of blackberries, right? That's a very fragile fruit. I will take my squirt bottle that's got water in it, just like she's got, and I'll just spray it and shake it, spray it, shake it, spray it, shake it, until it gets kind of like wet, right?
I did it on a-
Right, and moisturize it, and it actually comes back to life without being soaked, without having to drain it, without getting mushy, all of those things, right? So it's just adding a little bit of water at a time. And this is, it looks like you've got raspberries there. Is that what you've got?
Yeah.
Okay. See,
when
I
you
can
try to soak the raspberries, they get gooey. So like if you're making a pie, it's fine. But if you want it as a topping or, you don't want it to break apart as you soak it and gooey it up, this works really good.
or over ice cream or however you want to use it, right? But if you, and this is great for blueberries, raspberries, blackberries, strawberries, spinach. I've done it for spinach because sometimes I make this one vegetable dip that's got a lot of veggies in it. It's got carrots and onions and all sorts of things. And I use spinach, and you know how they say, buy a block of spinach and wring it out until you have just the spinach, right? I hate that. I hate that more than anything because you use a half a roll of paper towels. Right? But in this, I use the spritzing method. I put my spinach in there and I just spray it with with a little bit of water, and I'm ready to go at any time. Right? Genius. I love it. Right? It's awesome. It's totally awesome. So you can do that with onions. You could do it with a lot of different things. So
Cheese, you can also do cheese that way. You
yep,
can put it on a paper towel and spray the cheese. It just takes a little longer instead of just
yep,
shaking it.
exactly. Exactly. Okay. Next
Krista,
item.
did we do the veggie dip recipe on any of our demos before?
I don't
Do you
think so.
remember?
No.
Okay.
No, we
Next
should do
time.
that though,
Come on.
because it's kind of involved, but we should do that. We'll do that on the next celebration one when we need some dips or snack foods or whatever. It's
Sounds good.
good. It's really good. I actually came up with it myself based on I looked at the Knorr veggie dip recipe. Anybody know that one? And I looked at the back and looked at the ingredients and made up my own ingredients based on their list. And then I just did my portions. That's one that I actually did on my own. So but we can talk about that later. All right. Next section is powdering. So we're going to go back to Mira's question about powdering, right? So this is one that I really, really like to use. And Jody and I have used it in the past. We've talked about it here and there. And I will tell you that I powdered some strawberries. And here we go, live TV and confession time. I powdered strawberries. I can't find them. They were in my purse. I found everything. But I will tell you that just in case I had some yogurt, I brought stuff to do yogurt. So I got some granola here and I had a little bag of strawberries. So I powdered the strawberries that I had in a separate bag. But here's the deal. Last night I was preparing for this and I literally powdered in a blender, right? In my blender, in my Ninja. I took literally probably 3/4 of a can of strawberries, powdered it to show you a demo because it's one I could handle here being out of town. But I'm a long ways from home and I'm like, oh no, I'm scrambling to find my strawberries, can't find them. So I took my little baggie of strawberries. Here's my blender. It's a can, and I literally mashed them. So I'm telling you, this is how versatile Thrive is. Okay, so I have you can probably see how messy it is up here, and there's probably little holes in here where the fruit, but it's pretty powdered. So I'm gonna use it, and we're gonna use it. It's a little more chunky than my blender did, but we're gonna use it, okay? Because this is live TV and this is how we roll. And we are not perfect by any means. So what I have here, so I'm going to show you how to make this really quick. I've got some Pillsbury vanilla icing in a tub, right? Okay. Easy to pack in your luggage if you need a snack. I got my powdered strawberries. Okay. And I've got my little bowl of icing here. I actually dumped some out so you can see what's going on here. I'm going to tilt my camera a little bit so you can see what I'm doing here. Here's my my powdered
This is
strawberry.
awesome.
Oh my
On
gosh.
vacation, you can still have dessert.
Right? Exactly.
Also, that reminded us we did do that dip on the Super Bowl treats. So I just found the link. So I'm adding it in the comments for people in
Awesome.
the chat.
So look and see how
Friend-
pretty that is. Now there's some chunks in there, but this is live TV and I had to repowder it. But all we're gonna do is just mix in the strawberry powder. Okay. So what this is gonna do is it's gonna make the icing, number one, change color, right? And you can use whatever fruit you want, right? You can do blueberries and have a purple icing. You can do blackberries, have purple. You can do peaches and have a yellow orangey icing, whatever it is. But the best part is that you're naturally flavoring the icing that is not that great for you. But I'm adding a little nutrition to it, right? It's my birthday, people.
And it's
Okay.
better than the dyes, the artificial dyes and flavorings. So if
Exactly.
that's something you're avoiding or have allergies to, it's a really great option for that.
All right. And it would be smoother. We did this on Saturday and it was really smooth and really nice, and everyone at that event loved it. But you can
I
totally,
might like your chunky. That would be delicious.
right? I know it is good and chunky
On a
because
cookie
the
or
moisture from the icing is going to get in that fruit. So, it's actually going to work out pretty good. So I am not complaining. So here we go. We got nice pink icing that's been,
flavored.
sorry, it's been flavored by strawberries, which is amazing. And then I have graham crackers here too. So icing and graham crackers, totally good snack, right? And totally good dessert. You could spread this on cookies, you can do a cake, you could do whatever it is you do with vanilla icing, right? Great, easy, get a little nutrition in there, have a little more vitamins, all of the things, right? So yeah, that is, but you can do this with anything. You can powder the kale and the spinach and put it in your smoothies. One thing that we did tell everybody about on Saturday is that we have another consultant friend of ours. She came up with this idea. She has 2 cans. One is veggies and one is fruits. And so what she does is whenever she powders or whenever she gets to the bottom of her can, let's say she gets to the bottom of a can of corn, she pours that powder
just
that's
had
at the
this
bottom of
today.
the can. Oh, hey,
This
look
is
at
in the
there,
bottom of my broccoli.
right? So she'll throw that in the veggie can. So she'll have a mixed vegetable can of powder that she can add to soups for thickeners or flavorers or whatever. And you can do that with the fruit as
For
well,
instance, spaghetti sauce.
right? Spaghetti sauce, put an extra serving of vegetables in there, but you can use literally everything from your can. Did you have a thought?
You had just said, kale and like spinach, and I
Mhm.
just thought of like spinach artichoke, or spinach artichoke dip,
Mhm.
like the frosting, but like powder that stuff in there, but that is.
Exactly. So spinach, I'm with someone who's a Thrive customer. We're doing a girls weekend. So and she just said, I don't know if you guys heard that or not, but she said you could use the kale and the spinach in the icing. And that's what Jody did, or in the dip, in dip. So you could use that as a flavoring in dip. So
Like
for
in a Greek yogurt or sour cream or something, just put the powder straight in. Mm.
yeah, you could. Absolutely. And then that sparked another thought of mine. Sorry, I'm a year older. It just left. It's down at the beach. Anyway, I love powdering. It's one of the greatest things ever.
Oh, baby food.
Oh
You can
yes,
make baby food out of the powders.
yep. Baby food is really easy to do because you just powder whatever thing you want to feed them, right? Strawberries, butternut squash, peas, whatever it is, right? And you just add water to
powder
the consistency you're looking for, right? So my daughter-in-law did this with my grandchildren. And it was easy because she could take her little container, have the powder in it, and then just add water, and she had baby food instantly at any time. She didn't have to mess with glass jars. She didn't have to keep it refrigerated. None of that stuff, right? So that was, and I remember what I was going to say is that if you remember our Super Bowl episode, Jody made icing. She put peas in the icing. She powdered peas and put that in the icing, and you couldn't even taste the peas, but it made the icing. She was she had eagles,
Eagle.
the eagles.
You
So she
lost.
had the green. Yeah. And it was awesome. I loved it. It was absolutely awesome. So, all right.
Then
So
I
that's,
did the red for the cheese. It was fun.
yes, it was fun. It was totally fun. I think that's it for powdering. Back to you, Jody.
Okay. So going back to a question, Gabby asked if you're using this for emergency storage. Would you rehydrate using the shake method basically to find out how much to add when you do use it? So you can. So freeze-dried food is really forgiving. So like I was saying before, for most foods, you can just cover it with water. It doesn't matter. Like Thrive has some instructions on how to, I think every can tells you how to hydrate it, but usually it's like way too much water. And so you can just eyeball it. And when we cook, Krista's very good at eyeballing. She's like, just this much. I think it's about this much. And I'm like, I need to know 1/3 cup. So if it's one of my recipes, I'm usually pretty specific because I try it and test it and then I record it. But it is very forgiving. So I wouldn't worry about writing down like, oh, I used this much, because sometimes different batches are different or different sizes are different. So like a chopped onion that's this little will take much less water to hydrate than those onion slices. So it just really varies. Okay, I'm gonna slide this back. So the last thing that we're gonna talk about with just adding water is kind of its whole own section. So with Thrive, we talked about different ways to rehydrate it and use it that way, but you also can literally just throw it in to lots of things. So I make muffins and I don't bother to spritz and hydrate these raspberries. I just throw them in my muffin recipe. I throw them in my cookie recipe. As long as it's somewhat liquid in your recipe, it's going to hydrate enough to cook and be fine and be soft. It's not going to be hard. Pancakes, anything like that. Casseroles, soups, anything like that. Now a casserole that has a ton of freeze-dried food, you'll have to add a little more water than the recipe would say. Like I make a chicken rice broccoli casserole and the regular recipe would just have enough water to cook the rice, but I have to have enough to hydrate and cook. But you don't have to do anything. You don't have to hydrate it first. You just put it all together in one. And so it's super nice for that. So you can consider any soups. You don't have to worry about any preparation. You just have a can and you just add water. So I'm going to talk a little bit about some of our little meal options. So first, Thrive has a whole line of just add water meals. These are my new love for camping and busy nights, and you can actually put the water straight in the bag, but it's easier to mix it if you put it in a pot. And so that's what the instructions on the side say. But I did hike to the top of a mountain and eat one of these on the side of Mount Timpanogos in Utah. So any Utah friends here can respect that that was a pretty big accomplishment, and I will never ever do it again. But I want to show you, I was going to actually cook one, but I want to show you my cute daughter. I had her make dinner one night and I was like, you should video yourself, because she loves doing videos. She like wants to be a YouTube star, and she just like edited this whole cute video, and I want to show you guys. So hopefully you are okay with that, because I have to brag on her. She's so cute. It's only 1 minute, don't worry. Can you guys see this? Can you see my screen? Okay.
I'm Izzy, and today we're going to be making the creamy beef with rotini pasta. The second thing we have to do is we need to pour all of the contents into a medium-sized container. If you're wondering why I'm doing this myself, it's because my mom is not here right now and I've volunteered to make dinner.
She's a good helper.
Now that my water's boiled, I can add it to the mix. Now we stir it well and cover it.
Stirs for a really long time. Sorry. She could just tumble this. She just doesn't know.
It's stirred and I'm ready to wait 10 minutes. Did not melt it. Nobody's gonna know. I 100% recommend this. It's easy to make for kids, as you can see. I'm Izzy, and today we're going to be
Bessie?
making the
She's
creamy beef with
11.
rotini.
She made dinner for all the kids while I was gone, because heaven forbid I get my big teenagers to cook, right? So that's that one. She's super cute. She totally melted my Tupperware because she boiled the water on the stove and then took the pot and put it right on that hot stove. So I guess I need to teach her. So these are awesome. Some of them are gluten-free. They're working on gluten-free certification. Some of them are not. So I am gluten-free. And so I love the flexibility of making your own meal in a jars. And if any of you have followed me, you might get my meal in a jar emails. And I made this fancy schmancy book with full of recipes, all jar meals. They have instructions on how to make 10 at a time. So they are super convenient. You can make them whatever fits your budget, whatever fits your meal plan that you're working on. And so you can make them in quart-sized jars. This will feed like a family of 3 or 4. So for my family, we have actually not anymore. We had 6 teenagers at one time living in our home, 6 teenagers plus little 11-year-old. We eat a lot. So even to go to McDonald's with my kids is over $100. Like you can't buy food out for cheap anymore. And so some of these meals are only 12 or 13 bucks, even up to 15, even 20 bucks for one of these. And if I have to buy 3 of them or make 3 of these to feed all my kids, it's still way cheaper than going out. And so I love that. And then for emergency preparedness purposes, I started to panic when I realized I had just buckets of beans and wheat. I'm like, what am I going to cook with all of that? Like, I don't know. And I need spices and I need recipes. And it started to panic me. And so I decided that I could make bread. I could figure out bread. And aside from that, I wanted to have dinners on hand that I could have ready to go in an emergency. And that's why I started that whole concept with the jar meals. I wanted to have 365. I realized that's a little bit not feasible, especially for rotation. So now I store a lot. I store some. I definitely make batches of like 3 or 4, and I always have some in the cupboard or some to give away. They make great gifts. For neighbor gifts, for teacher gifts. If somebody is sick and needs to have a meal brought to them, you don't have to bring a meal. Like when I had my babies, people would bring dinner at 4 in the afternoon or at 8 at night. And I'm like, that doesn't really help my family because we don't eat at that time of day. And so this way I'm like, just add water whenever you're ready to eat. And it's hot for you, fresh. It's perfect. So I love that. And then I love just knowing that I have the cans so I can calculate how many cans of what's in this. It's pasta, sausage, tomato sauce, and cheese, and some peppers, right? So I make sure I have enough cans that I can make 10 of that in an emergency where I have to open up all of my cans. So meal in a jars are a really, really good way to just add water. And then another concept is single serving meals. So these are fantastic because now all my kids are in school. So I find myself at home for lunch a lot. And my husband will be out at work a lot for lunch. And sometimes my kids will take these to school even. So you can make in these half pints. So there's a pint, half pint, and quart. So you can take, and I'll show you, we did a few cooking episodes on this, but I'll show you an equation. So all of this is in a little jar. You just add a third or a quarter cup. Well, this one's 3/4 cup boiling water into there, and it makes you a single serving little chili right in your jar. So I did one that was a chicken noodle soup. Might have been last month. So for a soup, you need more liquid. So you can either put it in a jar like this and then have to pour it in a separate container, or I like this. So I found these with handles. And so I'll put a half pint sized recipe in this, and then I just add 1 or 2 cups, usually I do 1.5 of boiling water into this, just let it sit, or you can shake it up and then you have lunch. So I'll make a big batch of these, and then I don't have to worry about trying to think of a healthy lunch every day when my kids are at school and I'm just trying to get stuff done. So I love that for the single serving meals. Oh, and you can also do mixes like muffin mixes, cookie mixes in jars. There's so many options. And we did this at Christmas time. We did little hot cocoa. So this made cute gifts for neighbor gifts. We did eggnog. So there's so many things that you can do where you just add water with your Thrive. And I'm going to show on my screen so you can take a picture real quick. Not Izzy. Okay. Can you see this one? So this is for single serve magic. So these were ones I think we did in one of our cooking demos, tropical pork. So basically on the right side is this ratio. You want to do like a half pint jar, and then 3 tablespoons meat, 3 tablespoons cheese, 4 tablespoons veggies, and then a teaspoon of whatever spice, and then about a 1/3 cup of water. Now that's if it's like a casserole type, like a fajita thing like this. But if it's a soup, you would do more water for that. Obviously, that's not going to be enough soup for 1/3 cup. So these also make really fun if you want to do like a girls' night. You can get together and have like a soup bar and just lay out all your veggies and all your meats and just let them kind of mix and match and make their own little soups. I'll have my kids do that for lunches in the summer. Like, hey guys, let's figure out what we're going to eat this week. I'll do that with snack mixes and meal mixes. And it's like, then they chose. And so they can be picky because there's all these options, and then I'm happy and they're happy. So take a picture of this. And I think that I'm done my section. Is that right? Anything else for throw and go, Krista?
I think that is good. Yes. Sorry, I was answering comments and questions.
Oh, my book. It's mealsinajar.net. I can put a link. Pretty chili recipe. It's on my screen.
Unless you're on my team and want to earn one.
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun. and you can talk to me
How
later.
long will they last? Gabby, meals in a jar last about a year unless you put an oxygen absorber or remove the oxygen with a food saver.
Okay, is it my turn?
You're, yes,
All
you're
right,
ready.
so, all right, let's talk about thrivealizing. Okay, I talk about this a lot when we do our cooking demos. And I don't call it thrivealizing because it should be called thrivealizing. So you'll understand when okay, let's just get there. All right, thrivealizing. So this is what happens. You go to your recipe container, right? Mine's a little box. You flip the lid open, you pull out a recipe. You look at the recipe. Let's say it's chicken broccoli casserole. And you're like, ooh, how do I thrivealize that recipe? Okay, that's what thrivealizing is. It's turning recipes that you have in your recipe arsenal or something you find online or whatever it may be. In fact, we did this on our last cooking demo. Do you guys remember the apple pie in a mug that I did? That was thrivealizing a recipe. We actually, in fact, Jody's going to pull it up for you, the actual recipe.
Oh,
Oh, yep, there we go.
yep.
Do you remember this? That's like the photo from my kitchen. That's my fingers in the photo and the mug that I used, right? It was a Halloween mug, if anybody remembers. But this is what we did. I found a recipe online because we were looking for, because we actually base all of our cooking demos on what's on sale for the month, right? So Jody and I go through and look at what's on sale. We're like, okay, we got to find recipes to use for these, right? So we are thrivealizing all the time, these recipes. And so this one specifically was that apple pie mug cake. I found a recipe online, which you can see the bottom section is that, right? But their apple pie recipe was a typical apple pie. So real apples. I had to peel, wash, core, slice, dice, whatever my apples, right? That was already done for me in the pantry can of apples I used, right? And so you can see that the original recipe says 3 pounds of apples, right? But there's no water in our apples. So how do you quantify the two, right? It says 7 to 9 apples in that recipe. And in my head, I'm going, well, if I kind of put all these apples together, I can imagine in my brain that a pantry can of apples is probably going to be close to it. I bet you it's more like 5, maybe 6 apples at the most. But I like my stuff gooey anyway, especially my apple pie filling. I love all the sugar and caramel stuff more so than the apples. So I'm like, let's see if this works. That's what goes on in my little head. I know that doesn't happen for everyone, but it's close enough when you're dealing with making an apple pie filling, because that's really what I was doing in that recipe, right? So I put in the brown sugar, I put in the lemon juice, the other sugar, the cinnamon, the nutmeg, all that stuff, and made my apple. And if you remember, I had made it earlier in that day, and you open that thing, oh, that was so good, because I can actually use that apple pie filling on a lot of different things. But they have you make a lot of it, right? And then they only use like a 1/4 cup of it in the mug cake because you're only making 1 mug full of apple pie, right? So, but that's kind of what we mean when we talk about thrivealizing, is substituting something of thrive for something else in your recipe, right? Now, this is another example. This is Jody's chili. She did this, and she actually wanted to fit it into a quart-sized jar for a meal in a jar. So she had to reduce those quantities to make it fit in the jar, right? Because 1 pound of hamburger meat is not going to fit in a jar with all the other stuff, right? It's a lot of chili. But thrivealized, you kind of have to rearrange the ingredients a little bit, but still, it's like 8-ounce can of tomato sauce is going to be 2 tablespoons of tomato powder without the water, right? And you have those recipes on the cans. You just have to kind of like look, and like a clove of garlic is going to be 1/2 tablespoon of minced garlic or Thrive garlic, whatever it is, right? So that's what I mean by thrivealizing a recipe. We have to redo the recipe. And this is what we do all the time for this cooking demo that we do for you guys, right? But you guys can do it too in your own kitchen. So I challenge you, the meat is a little bit weird, but when you do a pound of lean hamburger, it's about 3/4 cup of freeze-dried ground beef. Because it's hard, you can't weigh it. Otherwise, you're going to end up with 6 pounds of ground beef or 6 cups of ground beef, right? Because the weight is not equal because the water is missing from it, right? So you really have to kind of look at these recipes and kind of try and figure it out. But take a picture of this one because this one is good. So you can kind of equate a pound of chicken to 3/4 cups of chicken and vice versa, right? The meat is the hardest, really. But you wouldn't use, if you're doing a pound of ground beef, you wouldn't use a pound of freeze-dried ground beef, right? That's not how it works because it's missing its moisture.
Mm,
Does that make sense?
the way they were, for
Right?
sure.
It weighs a lot more because all the fat's in there and the water's in there because they add water to ground beef too. Does
So
that make
when
sense?
you're just starting, it's easier to start with recipes already made. That's why we do these cooking demos. So you can just copy ours. But once I start cooking with it more, I'm taking every one of my recipes and I'm like, how can I make this in an emergency? And that's really how I started with Thrive because I was canning chicken and canning beef so that I could make my regular recipes in an emergency, make my, chicken tuna casserole or whatever, whatever you want to make in emergency. So you can just take your regular family recipes and if it calls for ground beef, easy substitution. If it calls for vegetables, easy substitution. So then you just, like Krista said, you kind of can experiment with it. And a lot of times when we do these cooking demos and when I do my meal in a jar, it takes a few tries. So you guys usually get it after we've perfected it.
Exactly. So
It
just stay tuned.
doesn't work on the show. We fix it before we email it out, just so you know.
Yes. Yes, yes. Because this is live TV, right?
Okay. Is
Okay.
that it for Thrive Alive?
I think that's it for Thrivealize.
Let me just make sure. Are you watching chat? Because I can't get to it while my screen's shared.
Yes, let's see.
We're going to be real quick to finish. If you can manage chat, I'm going to keep this slide on, but you guys can see me too. So I'm talking about our instant milk. And this is technically, I think it is freeze dried. Is it freeze dried? It goes through some processing. Anyways, I learned this weekend actually. So milk in the store that you buy in the jugs is freeze dried to ship to this like plants and then they rehydrate it and then package it all up. So it's not actually fresh from the cow in the jug. So when we buy it this way, it's one step less processed. Now, I want to verify that, but that is what I was told this weekend. So I think that's crazy. But the thing I love about this is I don't have to store so many different things in my food storage that always go bad. So I was trying to keep some evaporated milk, some sweetened condensed milk, because I use them for recipes maybe like once a year. So I'd stock up when it's on sale. And then the next year I go to use it for Thanksgiving and I'm like, it's all gone bad. Or my condensed milk has turned to caramel or whatever. So I love that I can make all of these things with our powdered milk. And so we did a whole episode on this, like a class, a powdered milk class. So, and I'll put it in the replay, the actual link, but this QR code, if you take a picture with your phone, or if you save it and then, or just copy that link, type it out. I know it's annoying. I can try to type it in later, but, you can watch the whole class. It's really good. We made all of these things, I think, except the heavy cream. And somebody asked me about it on that show, I think, and then I figured it out. I looked it up. So, these are all things that you don't have to store in your food storage or that you can make in an emergency. So many desserts. Then we get back to cheese, like ricotta cheese. You can make lasagna in an emergency. So, and I have not tried it, but I have heard you can also make mozzarella cheese out of our instant milk. So many things, and also less, obviously, usually less processed if you're making them yourself. So this is so wonderful. And I'd encourage you to watch that powdered milk class again. I'm just going to show these. So if you want to take a picture, but I'll also link to these images. So the buttermilk, you just make your milk and then add vinegar, lemon juice. Evaporated milk is like a really, really condensed. So there's way more powder to water than a regular milk recipe. Sweetened condensed milk, you have to add butter, sugar, and vanilla, which is why sweetened condensed milk is so delicious. If you're wondering, when you're like licking it, your finger when it gets on it while you're cooking, because it has butter, sugar, and vanilla. So then heavy cream, you basically make milk and mix it with butter. This will not whip like whipping cream, but if I never have heavy cream when I need it in a recipe. So if you're making a thick soup or something that calls, or a sauce base that needs heavy cream, that's a good substitution. And then Instant Pot yogurt. A lot of people did this and I was like so scared of it. But when I did it for the demo, like it was easy and it was delicious. It was a little bit tart and you can experiment with the sweetness. And after you do the yogurt, you can add anything with the fruits that you want to flavor the yogurt. So make sure to take a picture of that one. And then let me go to the last one. And again, I'll send the pictures out after as well. So then the last one is the ricotta cheese. This one, I wasn't sure if it would work. Like I just didn't know if it would work in general, let alone with powdered milk. But when I did it, it was awesome. It was yummy. And it didn't look exactly like a ricotta in a container because that's really compressed, but it was crumbly and it was so good. I loved it. I made fresh lasagna with it. So good. So that is the powdered milk quick and dirty class. We just want to bring it up because powdered milk is 50% off right now. And so stock up, buy yourself a case price plus a pantry can or something gives you free shipping. If you do it in the delivery service, because as long as it's over $100, then you get that free shipping and you get the wholesale pricing and all of the monthly specials. So a lot of those things that we were demonstrating today, like the cheese, the chopped onions, the red peppers, the chicken slices are all on special. So anywhere from 15 to 35 or 40% off this month. And there's a little package that's like called the Pot of Gold pack. I think it includes some meals on sale. So as we're getting into spring and you might be like hiking and camping, these are just so nice and they're 20-year shelf life. I throw these in my 72-hour kits now, so I don't even have to worry about rotating food. Like I used to go through my food kits and throw away food every 6 months, or I'd wait a year to get into it. And then like Jolly Ranchers are melted and protein bars are disgusting and no one wants to eat what's in the kit. So now I just have a bunch of those and we're good to go. So hopefully you guys learned something with how to use these foods, and you can see how you can save. I mean, if you're making your own cheeses and yogurts, you're saving money, you're eating healthier. You don't save time with those, but you save time with the other things, right? So if you make dinner in 10 minutes because of one of these or one of these, then you actually have time to experiment and learn and maybe can your own vegetable garden or something. So you find ways to save time to open up more time otherwise. I'm going to stop sharing. Is there any other questions? I know we're just at an hour. I know that was long, but there's so much to go over. I mean, hopefully you can tell with our passion how much we love cooking with this food. And the biggest thing for me, and I think for Krista as well, is that as we cook with it every day, if an emergency happens, our families are not going to know that anything's different. We're not changing our diet. My mom used to say, we always knew when times were tough because mom pulled out the powdered milk and the wheat kernels. And so like my kids don't have to feel that. And I'm so grateful for that. If we lost our job, when COVID happened and you couldn't get ground beef at the store, we were still eating tacos. Like what a beautiful blessing you can give to your family in a long-term emergency or in the short term. So eat what you're storing, store what you're eating, learn how to use it, learn those tricks to save time, save money, get healthy, save your sanity, become the kitchen wizard for your family, get your kids involved. Like my kids love cooking and I can let my 11-year-old help because she just scoops the onions out of the can. She could make it from scratch and she's not slicing her fingers up. So I love it. I'm passionate about it. If you have not already been one of our customers or one of our team members' customers, talk to us and let's figure out how to get you some of this food in your home. And hopefully that encourages you guys to open your cans. Just do it. You don't even need that fancy can opener.
Just
right?
do it. Mm-hmm.
Just do it. But you can get these on Amazon for like $12. They're so nice. Just open your can or get the small cans. They pop top. They're so easy. So any other questions before we sign off? Did you guys learn anything? Anybody? Anybody
think
learn
that
a new
There's
trick?
some comments
All
on
right.
that.
Some people are nodding their heads. Yay. Okay. So same time, same different link though. Every month we do this, the second Tuesday of the month, we feature stuff that's like timely, or just whatever what's on sale from Thrive. So hopefully that helps. And if you register for this, then you'll be on the email list to get notified of the next one. And then we can also send you text reminders if you get with Krista or I afterwards. And yeah, go and do, guys. And if you like teaching and this is a passion for you, ask us how we can help you do it too. Because we love it. And I
Yep.
love spreading the word. And I would love to help more people spread the word about preparedness and saving time, money, waistlines, all the good things. Okay, I don't think any more questions. Did we catch all the questions?
I think we caught most of the questions. I think I have a couple like direct to me, but I'll get those.
Okay. Best time of month to ship, I usually schedule mine for later in the month. So if any surprise sales come up, then I can take advantage of them. But there was a time where stuff was going out of sale, out of stock a lot. So at that time, I was getting it early in the month. So it doesn't really matter. Sometimes just whenever you get your paycheck. Right. But yeah, sometimes there'll be a surprise sale announced in the middle of the month and you're like, oh, I already did my delivery. And in that case, then I end up just doing another order. So that would be my only thought there. All right, ladies, we'll work on sending this out and we'll try to include all the pictures. I know it was a little different than our normal one, but I'll try to make sure you have all the information that you want so you can reference it later in case you missed taking pictures of any of that stuff on the screens. Okay, any final words, Miss Krista? Enjoy your beach.
I'm gonna go watch the sunset. You guys want to check it out really quick? I don't know if you can see really, but the waves are
Oh,
like
it's so beautiful.
crashing and lots of spray.
jealous.
It's awesome. I'm excited.
Go
Wish I
enjoy.
was
You
here.
deserve a break. I know. See you guys next month.
We'll see you later.